Welcome to GST Solution. My name is Rushik Desai. Friends, in our previous video, we had gone through the provision with respect to refund as prescribed under Rule 89 as well as under Section 54 of CGST Act 2017. Friends, we had already discussed that refund is very important for any tax legislations. We had already discussed that Section 54 of CGST is only a procedural aspect which shows under what circumstances the refund will be issued or the refund will be granted. However, the base for providing the refund is generating from Article 265 of the Constitution of India, which says that no tax shall be collected except without the authority of the law. Friends, since the inceptions of GST, we already know that there have been a lot of confusion and lot of drama in providing the refunds, in making applications of refunds under GST. Many of the applications are withheld due to lack of understandings of the procedural, as well as many of the refunds are held due to wrong application or mistaken applications of the refund by the applicants. First, among few of the recent legal issues is refund of input services and capital goods. Friends, we already had discussed that Section 54 provides for the procedure of making applications of refund under GST. We had already given that there are rules which describe the procedural as well as the formula for making applications of refund under Form GST RFD 01. We already understood that there are two circumstances under which the refunds of GST will be issued. First among them is export of goods without payment of duty, that is under bond or LUT, and second is under inverted duty structure, that is where the rate of input is higher than the rate of output. What is the legal issue in providing the refund of input services and the capital goods? Friends, the terms used in Section 54 subsection 3 is any person can claim a refund of unutilized input tax credit at the end of any tax period. The word used is unutilized input tax credit. The definitions of word input tax as well as the input tax credit has been given under Section 2, subsection 62 and subsection 63. It has been very specifically said that the term input tax and the input tax credit shall include input tax on central tax, state tax, union territory tax as well as the integrated tax. Nowhere it has been prescribed that it includes only the inputs on goods as well as inputs on services. However, at the time of making application of the refund under Rule 89, the definition of word, the input tax credit has been given as all the input tax credit but excluding the capital goods. That means the rules which are given for making application under refund is totally in controversy to the sections. So it is one of the major issue in making the application of refund as to how far the rules can differentiate to the sections. So another important legal issue which is there in the application of refund under inverted duty structure is the formula given for making applications of refund under inverted duty structure excludes the input tax availed on the input services. The words which has been described and which has been defined in the section has to be followed as it is, and no more clarifications, circulars, all the rules can supersede sections. Friends, another legal issue in making application of refund is the validity of newly inserted Rule 96B. Before understanding Rule 96B, we need to understand that the CGST rules has been amended on 23rd of March 2020, wherein a new rule, that is Rule 96B, has been inserted, which says that where any sale proceed of export of goods as well as export of services had not been received by the exporter within the timeline as provided by the Reserve Bank of India, then such application, that is, then such amount of refund has to be deposited back by the exporter to the department. But it is a very harsh provision wherein it has been also said that at the time of making the deposit of the refund which the exporter has received against which the sale proceeds had not been received, the exporter have to deposit the amount of refund back to the officer along with the interest as specified under subsection 1 of section 50. Further, it has been said that where after depositing the amount by the exporter, if the exporter has received the sale proceeds, then within 3 months he will have to again justify to the officer that he had received the sale proceed out of his export, and based on that the proper officer shall refund the amount of tax which has been deposited by the exporter. Now again, we all know that rules are subordinate laws, and as we all know that rules cannot impose a condition or restrictions which is inconsistent with the provision of the act. Hence, how far these amended rules have its validity is a question which needs a further deliberations by the GST Council as well as the Ministry of Finance. Another important amendment is there in Rule 89.4, which is also a legal issue. So, Rule 89, Sub-Rule 4 and Clause C, wherein the definition of turnover of export goods has been amended, has been redefined by the GST Council to mean that export of goods, that is turnover of zero rated supply of goods, to mean the value of zero rated supply of goods made during the relevant period without payment of tax under bond or LUT, or the value which is 1.5 times the value of like goods domestically supplied by the same or the similarly placed supplier. It means the intention of the government is to block the refund, that is to curb the refund to the exporter to 1.5 times of the value of the domestically supplied such goods. That means, for example, item A is sold for rupees 200 per piece outside India as export, and the same item is sold at rupees 100 per piece in the domestic market by the same exporter or the same supplier. Then now, as per the redefined definitions of turnover of zero rated export of goods, the refund on account of zero rated export of goods under LUT will be calculated and will be considered as only rupees 150 instead of 200. That is, this calculation will lead to reductions in the value of the refund to be sanctioned to the applicant. This amendment again seems to be inconsistent with the provision of section 15 of CGST Act 2017, because as we all know that for valuation of goods to the unrelated party, there has been a separate section, that is section 15 of CGST Act 2017, wherein there is no restrictions in the valuations of the goods at the time of making export or making domestic sale. Hence, by redefining the value, by redefining the definitions of turnover of zero rated export of goods, the department cannot impose a restriction on sanctioning the refund to 1.5 times of the turnover of domestically supply of such goods. Anyhow, it seems to be another attempt of curbing the tax refunds to the taxpayers. Now, further, one of the another important legal issues in making refund application is requirement of additional document. Friends, as we all know that the word used as prescribed in the rules has also been defined in the GST Act, and it shall mean the documents and the procedure which has been prescribed in the rules as well as in the sections. Nowhere at any point of time the department can ask any additional document by the way of circular or by way of any other trade circular or notice or amendment or anything. Now friends, as we all know that there has been a lot of clarification which has been issued by the GST department on account of this refund. There are two circulars which says, that is circular number 125 and 135, wherein they have asked the additional documents like Annexure B, which ask for the specific details of HSN codes at the time of making refund application, as well as the copy of GSTR 2A. Hence, how far this additional document as required by the department through the circular says consistent with the provision of the CGST Act is a question which needs a further deliberations. In any case, we also understand and we also know that the circulars cannot go beyond the Act. So In our opinion, such annexures or even the statement like GSTR 2A, which are nowhere prescribed in the rules as well as in the sections, cannot be asked by any of the authorities, which is nowhere specified in the GST Act. To conclude, there are a lot of recent issues which have been crept into the refunds, and all the issues have emerged due to delegated legislations which seems inconsistent with the provisions of the Act. Hence, there should be a proper attempt by the department to attempt or to facilitate the refunds rather than curbing them by placing the conditions and the restrictions which prima facie does not seem to be tenable under any of the Act. Friends, I hope you find this video very informative and useful. Please feel free to reach us out in case of any query. Please leave your comments in the comments box. We shall try to reply you as soon as possible. Thank you very much for watching our video. Thanks a lot, friends.